Hey guys, I'm back again. Today I just wanted to talk about the differences between quilting in a hoop and quilting on a stationary frame. At the end, I'm giving a little quick review of my Miller quilting frame. I've had it maybe a week and a half now, and I wanted to let you guys know how I like it. Alright, so what we're going to do today is show me quilting a little bit and talking about the differences quilting on a stationary frame versus a hoop. I'm done quilting across here as far as I can reach, except for this block right here, but I don't want to show you quilting. I want to start right here. I'll come back to this later. So I'm going to loosen up. And just roll down to where I want it. Alright, I got it about adjusted where I want. And just in case you're wondering, these lights are from Ikea. They're like $19.99, real cheap. And we have a hole here where it fits down in there perfectly. And they're okay. They're alright. I mean, you get what you pay for. Alright, so I'm gonna roll up here, and Scooter, if you'll set me up right here. And while Scooter's doing that, I'll put all my stuff up here. I have an accessory coming called the Peacekeeper, and we'll insert a picture right here. That's on the way. I wish I had it now because everything keeps falling off of here. But it rests over the edge of here and comes over here, and it's a wood, same wood as this frame, and it has compartments where I can put all this stuff in and it won't fall. I can't wait to get that. Angelo, where's my stuff? So recently what I've been doing, because my fingers are having issues, I have quilted so much. So I've been using these finger cots. I got them on Amazon, like 300 of them for like $5.99 or $6.99, something like that. And they help me grip the needle when I pull it out. My granddaughter thinks they're balloons, so I have to hide them from her. Get my thimble going. Right here, just people who use this thimble, this is a clover thimble, I believe. They stretch out and they get holes really fast when you're hand quilting. What I have done is get a piece of leather. I need to cut them a little bit wider, but you can stick them down in there, or if your thimble gets too big, you can fold it like that and then stick your finger down in here and make them last longer so they don't poke you, and just change the leather inside instead of getting new thimbles, because these things are not cheap. One of the differences, the main difference that I wanted to talk about, was in a hoop, you can change the position of the hoop and quilt the way that's most comfortable for you. But in a stationary frame, it doesn't move. You have to do the moving, and you have to learn how to quilt in different directions. And I was not good at that, and I forced myself to learn and get the muscle memory down, and I'm still not as fast, but I'm getting there. My stitches are looking decent there. If you need to learn how to bury the knot and all that, go to one of my other videos. Alright, so most times when we quilt, the way that's the most comfortable is if you're right-handed, right to left, or toward you at an angle. That's my favorite. Like this is my favorite position. But quilting away from me, I could not do that. I had to force myself to learn. And when I get over here, I'll show you how I do it. Also, when you can't quilt in different directions, you have to put a lot of knots in your work, and stop and start and stop and start, and that really does slow you down. So I just forced myself. I watched some YouTube videos, and one of them was Esther Miller's, learning how to quilt in different directions. I don't use the same tools that she does, but I learned some things from her, and some other Amish ladies. I watched how they quilted away from themselves, and it's I like it now. It's comfortable. All right, so I have to have a thumb thimble. So it's just a different version of this one, just bigger. And my finger cots, they fit over my finger cot. And I always do a little tiny back stitch at every corner. So once you get that first stitch, it goes better. Okay, then I'm pushing up hard, and as soon as, I mean very little, I'm feeling the needle, I push it right back down. And you're kind of folding the fabric and feeling the needle. Folding the fabric and feeling the needle. And I was kind of keeping away from quilting wreaths and stuff like that. I can do it, but it took me so long because I was not quilting in different directions. I would kind of shy away from them. But now it's on. Oh, that's not even. When you take too big or too small a stitch, just back your needle up before you pull it through. And this goes really well. Quilting away from me, I like it. Now my favorite positions are at an angle toward me and an angle away from me, like this angle right here. Straight away from me like I'm doing right now, that's not my favorite. But the more I do it, the more comfortable I get, the better muscle memory I get. And the less I hate it. I don't really hate it, but you know what I'm trying to say. Get a rhythm going. My stitches right there are not great, but I'm on camera. And just barely, when I barely feel the needle, I'm pushing it right back up. Now those are more even right there. I can even get pretty decent size stitches now. Before they were big. Quilting in another direction. Then when you get to corner, little tiny back stitch. One thing I've noticed also when quilting away from me is I have to have the quilt a little bit looser so I can fold the fabric a little bit better. These finger cots really help with the grip. And they're so thin and they're really cheap. That first stitch as I'm quilting away from myself, sometimes it's a little hard to get going. I think this is ergonomically better also. my hands aren't doing a whole lot of jumping around. Okay, so I just wanted to show you that part. Now, I'll talk about some of the differences. Okay, so I wrote these down so I wouldn't forget. On a hoop, the pros are you can position the hoop however you want to quilt in a direction that's most comfortable for you. I said that earlier. You can always quilt in an easy way. You don't have to figure out how to quilt in a different direction and that kind of stuff. That's one of the pros. It's portable. It provides even tension, keeping all the layers smooth. You get smoother stitches. It saves space, and it's inexpensive. You can get a hoop pretty inexpensively. Some of the hoop cons is you need to reposition the quilt often. You have to turn it to where it's most comfortable for you, and you have to loosen up the screw, take the hoop off, position it another spot on the quilt. The surface area that shows in a hoop is not very big, so you have to keep positioning the quilt. Large quilts will drag on the floor, and if you're menopausal like I am, you'll be hot because the quilt is all over you. I don't like that. And if you leave the quilt in the hoop too long, you can get markings on it that are hard to come out. So sometimes if you're not going to quilt for a while, you need to take that off. And you have to baste. Basting. Okay, so on the frame, on a stationary frame, some of the pros are it's more ergonomic, I think. I'm sitting at a comfortable height in a chair that's adjustable, and I don't have to lean over and be awkward. And I've had back surgery, so I need to be careful how I sit. And sitting this way is good for me. I can sit more upright instead of quilting over there on the couch on a hoop. You have tension evenness, I think, is better. And you can visibly see more of the quilt. When you're quilting in a hoop, you can only see the surface area of the hoop. And you can't really tell where you are. You kind of have to keep picking it up and moving it and, all that. It holds the entire quilt off the ground, so it's not getting dirty on the edges. That batting, it will pick up every dog or cat hair if you have a cat or dog. Dust, unless you roll the edge of the quilt to cover that. I didn't like that. My quilt was getting dirty on the edges. You can leave it in the hoop for a long time, and since it's rolled instead of like vice gripped in that hoop, it won't leave marks. There is no basting. Okay, no basting, zero basting. If you have a 3 or 4 rail quilting frame. If you just have 2 rails, you have to baste it. And more than one person can quilt at a time. That's just a few of the pros. Some of the cons are you have to learn how to quilt in more than one direction. I don't know if that's a con or not. Makes you stretch yourself and improve. Space constraints. This frame set up in a king size configuration takes up a lot of space. And sometimes you don't have a lot of space. I have decided to leave it right here instead of moving it into my sewing room. I have room in there, but I think I like it out here. And it's kind of a conversation piece, and I'm more apt to quilt and watch TV right here if it's right here. If I go into my sewing room with it, I'm gonna be lonely in there. So I like it right here. You don't have to reposition the quilt. You can quilt from all the way down there, all the way across, and you don't have to move it anytime until you finish all of that, and then roll it. I think that's great. It is not portable. You gotta leave it right here. That's one of the biggest cons I can think of. And cost. This frame was a little costly, but it was special. It was a special purchase for my 60th birthday. There are cheaper frames, but relatively more expensive than hoops, than you can buy a hoop for. So now, my frame review for this Miller frame review. This is an honest review after I've had it, what is it, like a week or two-ish. The ordering process was very easy. There's an English translation on the website. I was able to understand everything. One of the things that was on the website was the tariffs. I was pre-charged for tariffs, so I didn't have to pay them once I got here. And then Angelo said he did some research, and anything over 800 euros, you can't pre-charge for the tariffs. So he refunded me my money. I didn't even know any of that. He researched that and gave me my money back, and then explained how it would work when they get here. Once the product gets here, it goes through customs, and then you get charged the tariffs. Mine kind of slipped through. I didn't. Nobody got that. They just showed up with the frame. I didn't get charged anything. So the customer service was excellent. He was very responsive in emails and answered every question that I had. I probably worried him to death, but he was very nice and didn't keep me waiting long. Very responsive in the emails. The wait time, if it's not in stock, I think I read on the website that it was 4 weeks. Well, I wanted the hard maple because I read up on it, and hard maple is harder than oak. And I kind of like the look of hard maple, but I didn't want to wait. He offered this oak frame. If I wanted that, they had it in stock. So I went ahead and ordered the hard maple, and then I said, I can't wait. So I messaged him, told him I'd take the oak frame, and he changed that around for me and sent it. And I think it took maybe 3 weeks for it to get here. And he said that was pretty fast. So that's good. Customs clearance times are kind of unpredictable. You don't know how long it's going to take. It was fairly quick, and you can follow the tracking and see where everything is. I was watching that tracking like a crackhead. It comes in 2 packages, like we showed in the other videos. They came on different days, and that about drove me crazy, but there's nothing that Angelo could have done or I could have done. It was just 1 day apart, so I was just anxious. Everything arrived undamaged. Somebody has to be home this time for the packages. It was easy to put together. It looks great. Furniture quality. It's very sturdy. The instructions were easy to understand when you actually look at the instructions. There are videos also of Esther putting it together, but the instructions were fairly easy. It keeps the quilt off the floor, which I really like. There's more workable area. You don't have to have so much batting and backing excess around the edges. On my hoop, I learned that you need extra material on the ends to be able to quilt the borders. And on this, since there's canvas attached to the rails, you don't need as much because there's ample material that allows you to get closer to the edges. The side clamps work out really well. They provide really good tension, crosswise tension to keep your quilt that way. I don't even put them on until I get to the edges because all of this it's fine. It doesn't really affect in the middle part of the quilt. So yeah, I am enjoying it. I about quilted a hole in my finger. I'm enjoying it so much. When that Peacekeeper comes, I will really be glad when that comes because my stuff is falling off on the floor and all that. Angelo, if you're listening, recommend that with the purchase. Or do a bundle, some kind of bundle with that thing because I'm sure I'm going to love that. So, yeah, get you one. Angelo's not paying me. I'm not getting anything and I don't want anything. But this quilt frame is really great. If you're a serious quilter, you need you one of these. All right. See you later. Yeah.